The North East Mayor slams Keir Starmer's Green rollback after quitting Labour. We're going to read this exclusive interview that James Driscoll has with Open Democracy. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from Open Democracy. And it's an interview that they've had with the North Eastern Mayor, James Driscoll. He slams Keir Starmer's Green rollback after quitting Labour. So he was kind of pushed out by Labour. Let's be absolutely frank here. He had actually done nothing wrong, and he was pushed out of the Labour Party, and he rightfully so. I think, we should have a read of his side of the story. James Driscoll says some voters think Starmer is a liar and backing ULEZ would win votes. The ex-Labour mayor said the UK's poorest region has slammed Keir Starmer for watering down the party's environmental commitments. In an exclusive interview with Open Democracy in his office in Newcastle, the North of Tyne mayor James Driscoll said there is no contradiction between protecting us from the climate emergency and prosperity. In fact, if you fail to protect us from the climate emergency, you're going to lose all prosperity in the future. I do think there is... I do think just on that part that I do think there is a part where he is right from Labour's point of view, where they are right to roll it back a little bit, but to roll it back as much as they did, I don't think was necessary. And they're trying to show, and Labour are trying to show in the build-up to this election, that they're trying to show that they're responsible with money. And to be fair, they have been pretty responsible with. They have come across showing they're going to be far more responsible with money as opposed to Conservatives right now. Labour's leadership has blamed its failure to take Boris Johnson's former constituency of Uxbridge and South Ruislip in the recent by-elections on London Mayor Sadiq Khan's plan to expand the city's ultra-low emission ULEZ in the area. But Driscoll, who dramatically quit Labour last month, said the party would have won the seat if it had stood by the scheme and campaigned against Tory cuts to the bus services in the capital. I'm not sure about that. I don't think the bus services would have been something that people would have been shouting and screaming about. But I do think that the Conservatives' campaign on ULEZ was very effective. That is something for sure. I don't know about that. I'm a bit sceptical about that from James Driscoll on that one. But I could be wrong. I don't know, honestly, what the people of Uxbridge were saying. But what I do know is that ULEZ was an issue and was blown out of proportion, because not as many people are going to be as affected as they think they are, from what I've read and heard. Labour would have won the Uxbridge by-election if they had said, yes, it is a problem because the Tories have cut public transport in London. If we have better buses here, we will do better. You'd be better off, he said. That would have won it by them. A lot of people who voted Green because they were outraged by Labour's abandonment of ULEZ probably would have voted Labour. Yeah, there was a lot of votes that went towards Greens, but look, if you actually looked at the actual numbers, it wouldn't have, I don't think it would have made the overall difference. I think it was like 500 votes or so. I'm pretty sure it was. I could be wrong. You guys can correct me in the comments. Labour's candidate in the by-election had publicly opposed the ULEZ expansion during the campaign. The Green candidate won 893 votes. Well, there's me put down. More than the margin separating Labour from the Tories. Driscoll also argues that politicians' failure to take climate breakdown seriously contributes to failing trust in politics. We've got a climate juggernaut hurling towards us, and we are saying that some people in outer London didn't like ULEZ, so let's burn the planet because we need their votes. Almost any rational person, which is the majority of the electorate, I believe, would say it doesn't add up anymore. This I 100% agree with. Ever since that vote, there is this stupid idea from Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives that, well, if they don't like ULEZ, maybe the rest of the nation will be with them, and they don't care, sort of thing, perception. Which is why they've decided to open up more damn oil fields, just not paying attention at all. It was a local issue. The vast majority of people believe that it was a local issue that is what caused the Labour not to win that Uxbridge and South Ruislip seat. And it's a strong Conservative hold as well, so it's always going to be tough to win regardless. Driscoll is currently the mayor of North of Tyne region, which extends northward from Newcastle to the Scottish border. He has successfully negotiated expansion of the region, meaning that when the post comes up for re-election next year, he will cover areas of North East England south of the Tyne, including Sunderland, Gateshead and County Durham. With an engineering background of his own software business, Driscoll was first elected as a councillor in Newcastle in 2018. He was quickly chosen by the Labour members to be the Labour candidate for the North of Tyne Mayor when his post was created in 2019, beating the long-standing leader of Newcastle County in the selection. Calling himself a pragmatic socialist, he generally identified with the left of the party and was supported by Momentum. But when Labour announced its short list of candidates in the mayor of the newly expanded North East C, Driscoll's name was notably absent. Party insiders briefed that he had been purged because he had once spoke at an event alongside filmmaker Ken Loach. Now, if you don't know the story, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this at all, by the way. Who was himself banned from Labour because of his prior support for the Left Unite Party. While much of the media parodied his line, a simpler explanation was that he was binned because of his left-wing views, as for revenge for defeating one of the party's biggest beasts. Yeah, because he was on the side of Corbyn, pretty much is what the gist of saying is. It's saying you're not on the side of Keir Starmer, so we're going to oust you. Even though he's actually done, Driscoll's actually done some really great work, yeah, as a mayor there, and the public, people actually up there are stating that as well. So it's nothing to do with his credentials. It's simply because he's not one of those yes men, basically. Driscoll's deselection was slammed by politicians across the political spectrum, with Labour Mayor Andy Burnham and Steve Rotherham praising his approach for the role. His interview with Open Democracy is the first time he has so clearly attacked the Labour leadership since standing down from the party. He has had one or two other interviews, to be fair. Speaking about Starmer's recent equivocation on previous climate spending commitments, Driscoll characterised the Labour position as, "We might put 28 billion into tackling the climate emergency at some point in the future if the physical rules allows it. A physical rule which we decided on, which is not real, and it has no legal basis in anything. On the basis we just think it makes us look a bit more credentialed to some people." If you do have a vox pop, and you say you do, and say, "Do you think Keir Starmer keeps his word?" Would you have said one word? So, would you have one say yes? Bit of an odd question, the way to put it. He added, "There is an underlying reality to people's lives. Either your bus comes or it doesn't. Either you get an operation or you can't. These are things that are concentrated in the real world. The climate emergency is absolutely one of these. The science is uncontroversial. We already have enough CO2 and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, and even if they remain stable at that level, global heating is going to continue, and we will pass way beyond the 1.5 degrees Celsius. Even if we live in a magic world where there is no tipping point kicking in, that will lead to mass people movements and crop failures around the world. For Labour's leadership to respond to this reality by saying, 'Yeah, but we need a physical rule,' isn't good enough," he argued, criticising his former party for saying that it won't cancel oil and gas licences recently issued by the Tories. And for comments Starmer reportedly made to Shadow Climate Change Secretary Ed Miliband that he hates tree huggers, which he denies. And isn't into hope and change, Driscoll asked. What are they for? Speaking more broadly, Driscoll said that some people perceive Starmer as a liar. He claimed, "If you would go out and do a vox pop and say, 'Do you think Keir Starmer keeps his word?' would you have said yes? Or would some people think, yes, he's a liar, but not as much as a liar as the Tories? You know, the lesser of two evils, but the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil." Referencing to an event during Starmer's Labour leadership campaign, Driscoll added, "I interviewed him in 2019 and he said you have to inspire people to party unity. You don't discipline people by party unity." Referencing to Starmer's promises at the time, Driscoll said, 10 pledges. Has he kept any of them? I don't think he has, and the public knows that. He added, regardless of what people say in politics, regardless of their ideologies, there is an objective reality, and when politicians forget that, they find themselves unable to tell the truth. The reason they are unable to tell the truth is what they propose does not tally with reality. He also claimed Starmer and Shadow Health Secretary Wes Streeting are unduly influenced by big businesses, pointing to Streeting's donations from a hedge fund manager heavily invested in private healthcare, and Starmer's rolling back on commitments to tax big techs after a meeting with Google. To abandon that, he says, shows you your holy interests are operating. I didn't know that Wes Streeting had donations from private healthcare. That's quite infuriating to know that. But James Driscoll has some fair points there, and I do believe that he was ousted simply because of his political views. and Labour never gave straight answers when he had interviews on and whatnot, guys. He was never given a straight, fair reason as to why he was ousted, and he should not have been ousted simply because he basically is a Corbynite. Let's just call him, or someone who has his own, who sets on what he believes in, rather than just someone towing the line, sort of thing. And we've had this discussions about certain purges in the Labour Party. Now, these are some strong comments. He did have quite an amazing attack on Keir Starmer when he actually quit, and I do think Keir Starmer, although it's not really going to hurt him too much, I do think it still does put Keir Starmer's questions and credentials into question. But at the same time, guys, we do need to get rid of the Conservative Party. Yes, I know that is the priority, but that does not mean we should let Labour off the hook, and we should not give them all a completely total free pass as well. There needs to be accountability for Labour and some of their actions too. And I think James Driscoll here, who is unlikely, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to his mayoral seat. I could be wrong, because he is standing as an independent. Even if he raises enough money to do so, I don't think it's going to be enough. But what do you guys think of James Driscoll's points of views? What do you guys think of Labour and Keir Starmer? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, share and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all very, very soon.